Hi, guys. Happy New Year, a little bit early, the day early. I'd like to thank you for watching these videos. I'm constantly trying to prove and play around with different microphones and lighting and Zoom versus StreamYard, and we will get better at this. But hopefully the content is what matters to you, and that you don't mind that I'm constantly wearing out my fleeces and sweatshirts. But it's a cold winter, and I just want to be warm and comfortable. But I hope you'll subscribe and tell your friends to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and we'll keep doing that. And I love the suggestions that you send me on things that you'd like me to talk about. That's always helpful. And I think it's important that you have a say in it, because we can't really rely on mainstream media, legacy media, anymore. So, that's just where things stand right now. Looking at the new year and the inauguration looming, it is terrifying. And I can't help but remember how Trump and why Trump ran for office to begin with, what we think happened. We know he's been a Russian asset for quite some time, but to actually decide to run for president and go through all of the machinations that it takes to run. He lied about self-funding, of course, and that's where I got in his crosshairs, and he ruined my life and career because I knew that he had a super PAC. The Corey Lewandowski told me all about it, and when it finally came out in the news, not through me, Trump and Corey lied, and they threatened to sue the Washington Post for reporting it. And then I stepped forward and said, "Excuse me, but they told me all about it." So they quickly shuttered the super PAC, and MAGA didn't really seem to care, and you know he got his buddies to kick me off TV, so I couldn't tell the truth about him. So, um, but you have to think about this, why he ran. It was a White House Correspondents' Dinner, and Barack Obama, as president, made fun of Trump. Remember, Trump was the one that started the whole birther thing, claiming that Obama was not a legitimate president because he was born in Kenya, which of course was bunk. So Trump is sitting there in the audience, and he's so thin-skinned and so mentally ill and so evil and so immature and so incompetent that I think he decided he was going to do this and show everybody. And a lot of people have talked about that was the genesis of Trump running. Okay. So we have that situation. And he also had Vladimir Putin helping him, which of course we know from the Senate committee, that GOP committee that investigated that, and said, yeah, Putin was helping him. We know this from the Mueller report. And in terms of proving there was collusion, but conspiracy together, they didn't prove that. But again, Mueller was barred from actually digging into it at that level. So the whole time we thought Robert Mueller was investigating as special counsel all aspects of this, of Russian collusion, conspiracy with Trump or people on his campaign. He was limited as to what he could actually look into. And then there was that OLC memo claiming that you can't indict a sitting president. But well, I guess he could have. But at that point, there's all these gentlemen's agreements, and we were still thinking things were going to go back to normal. And so Mueller decided to respect that. Then we had Bill Barr, as Trump's AG, just stand up there and lie and say that there was not even any obstruction of justice, when of course there was. And Robert Mueller said on camera, under oath, at the hearings, Trump can be indicted after he leaves office for obstruction, as we saw in the Mueller report, like 10, 11 counts of it. He could have been impeached for it, but Nancy Pelosi decided not to. Just decided not to do it. So he knew then what he could get away with. So he was surprised when he won in 2016. He was not supposed to win, I don't think. But I think he was afraid he was. But again, we had that ABC executive producer who was friends with the Trump people and wanted a job in the White House, called them at 5:01 with secret media consortium exit polling, showing them where they'd lost and that they had lost and which states. And then over the course of the next few hours, it was 77,000 votes perfectly distributed among the 3 battleground states, brought Trump the Electoral College. And prior to that, of course, we know that Paul Manafort as chairman of the Trump campaign, had illegally given internal campaign polling data to Konstantin Kalimnik, which is the same thing as giving it to Putin. And that meant that Putin and his folks would know exactly where they needed to go to prepare on election night. And then on election night, I think that exit polling data is what told them where to act, because there's also um, a whistleblower who alleges that and testified that Karl Rove once told her that if a state is within 3 percentage points on election day, you can cheat undetected. Okay. It didn't work for Trump in 2020 because it was the pandemic and mail in ballots. And that's a little bit different, a little harder to cheat, which is why he panicked and had Louis DeJoy pull mailboxes out of the ground in neighborhoods, in heavily Democratic neighborhoods, to prevent people from sending in their mail in votes, and dismantled these $2 million a piece mail sorting machines, again, to ensure that ballots could not be counted. Okay, we've talked about this a few times, but I like to bring it up every now and again as a reminder and for context. So Trump never really wanted to be president. There's always an ulterior motive for him and for the people who control him and who pay him, and who have blackmailed him, meaning Putin. So this time we know that he wanted to run to stay out of prison, and Merrick Garland facilitated that. We are a 50-50 nation, so whoever is the nominee on either side, you are very close to it, and you can only cheat if it's close. So it is now baked in that it's close. And we're never going to have the Ronald Reagan blowout elections. We haven't had that for a long time. So our presidential elections are very, very close all the time. So the minute that Trump was able to announce that he was running again, we were in danger. And Merrick Garland is the reason why. I think we kind of failed to appreciate that at the time, but that's when we were still trying to treat it like a normal election. We still thought somehow Merrick Garland was going to get him. It just was never going to happen. And so our naivety made us unaware of our surroundings, so to speak. So Trump ran this time to stay out of prison. And of course, that meant that the bad guys all knew that they could take advantage of him and use him and help him once he got to this point. That means Vladimir Putin, that means Elon Musk, and anybody else that wanted a grift, anybody else that wanted to grease the palms for favors. And now his administration is full of almost exclusively those types of people, the new administration coming in. And Trump doesn't care about policy. He was to stay out of prison, and he succeeded in doing so. He doesn't care what happens after this. He doesn't. He doesn't care about any of us. And we see him betraying his racist MAGA base now by letting brown people in from other the Elon Musk plan to import people from countries to do the tech jobs for cheap, and who aren't going to vote here or anything. They're just going to work for Elon and his oligarch billionaire buddies for cheap. And so MAGA is like, but wait, you said you were going to keep all the brown immigrants out. So they're in an internal fight over that, which is sad but amusing all at the same time. But again, it's important to keep in mind that Trump doesn't care. He did not run for president because he had a great love of this country or agenda items that he wanted to put through. There is no agenda. There is no policy agendas with Trump. I mean, he's reneged on everything. And even the RNC went along with it because their platform is whatever Trump wants. Now, I used to work for the RNC, and the platform committees, well, maybe Congress doesn't always implement everything. These are the RNC members around the country who are elected by other Republicans who come to put together the platform. And a great deal of study goes into it. It's a big deal. And it's also traditional that the campaign for the president stays out of those discussions. But we know in 2016, there was one item on that platform, on that RNC platform, that the Trump campaign got involved in. And that was military aid to Ukraine. What type of weapons could they get so they could fight against another invasion by Putin? Remember that? That was the fight. And so the RNC members wanted to be able to give lethal weapons to Ukraine, and it was J.D. Gordon, who was with the Trump campaign, who said he was on the phone with the campaign in New York, and he sat there in the room, and they had a fight over it, and he forced them to go with a language that was softer on Putin. This happened. So at that time, and this is why Putin wanted to help Trump. It's all about Ukraine, all about Ukraine. And so Trump, of course, the campaign was going to go to the mat for this one item that was so important to Vladimir Putin, because they knew that Vladimir Putin was going to be helping this campaign. I think it's instructive for everybody to go back and read at least the summaries of the Mueller report, just to refresh your memory on what motivates Trump. So now that he's in a situation where it's about these people kept him out of prison, he now is beholden to them, not MAGA voters, not Americans. He doesn't care. That's why he's selling them out left and right. That's why you got loony Laura Loomer going on Steve Bannon's show, saying, "What's going on here? He's betraying us." Well, yeah. Yeah, honey, he is. And he's going to betray this country even worse than he already has. Because again, it's all about his agenda. His agenda was to stay out of prison. The people that helped him do that, Vladimir Putin, Elon Musk, he is now beholden to them. Always remember that. So we shouldn't be confused as we watch MAGA fall all over themselves, confused about why Trump betrayed them, because we knew this would happen. He is paying the piper now. So it'll be interesting to see if he needs to find a way to run again, if he's still around, and if we still have elections, actual real elections, not the, wink, wink, Vladimir Putin kind, in 4 years. He finds a way to say that it's okay for him, get the Supreme Court to say, since his 2 terms were not consecutive terms, that he can run a 3rd time, whatever. I'd like to see Barack Obama run against him in that regard, but then they'd say, oh, no, he had 2 consecutive terms, so he can't run again. The Supreme Court belongs to Trump and Putin. They are beholden to them. They are corrupt. They are bought and paid for. And that's something that we just need to accept. We have done a very poor job of accountability for our leaders in this country. And the media has a lot to do with that. So the different reasons Trump ran, the first time, I think, was to show everybody, I think he hated Barack Obama for embarrassing him at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Yeah. I think he was running for business interests. I think that this time he ran to stay out of prison. He didn't want to be president. He's not going to do the job. He didn't do the job the first time. He showed up at the office around noon, spent a lot of time golfing. So now it's all about just paying off all of the people who cheated for him and weighed in and bought this presidency for him, who tipped the scales. And again, leading is Vladimir Putin and Elon Musk, who are in bed together, clearly. Elon Musk is a defense contractor with security clearance, yet he's having private conversations with Vladimir Putin, and we do nothing about it. Severe violation of the Logan Act. But I guess that's okay. And again, we only found out relatively recently that Ronald Reagan and his people were negotiating with Iran to release the hostages, but holding off so that he could defeat Jimmy Carter and then do it with great drama and flair. That is very disappointing, to say the least. So the motivations sometimes are simple, evil, and clear. And right now, if you want to know what Trump is going to do, I would say don't look at what his campaign promises were, because they don't matter. Look at what's best for Vladimir Putin and Elon Musk. And so far, it all tracks, doesn't it? Panama Canal, Greenland, Yeah, all of it. All of it. Canada, openly talking about just sort of accepting the notion that we're going to just go in and take a country or a territory and somehow annex it, even if they don't want to be a part of us. I mean, my God, who would want to be a part of this country? We all want to go to Canada and get out of here. So, even saying this stuff out loud is frightening, but I think we have to have these conversations. I don't think that we should allow ourselves to get so soft that we just get used to this language and these notions and this slow roll into fascism and authoritarianism and to invading countries the way that Vladimir Putin had Russia invade Ukraine and what he plans to do elsewhere. So they're trying to normalize the notion that we can do that, just like they're normalizing the notion of rounding people up and putting them in camps, even if they are here legally under our Constitution, because Trump now just wants to do away with the Constitution. This is real. This is happening. I don't have a solution, but I do know that we have to stay on top of it. We have to talk about it, examine it, stay informed, keep it in the forefront of our consciousness, because we will have a chance to fight it at some point. But if we're just putting our heads in the sand or saying, oh, that could never happen here, I think that hurts us. So again, I don't mean to be Debbie Downer, but we all know where we are at this point in our country's history, and we're the ones living it, and we are the only ones that can stop it if it can't be stopped. So hang in there.